So we're on. I was having trouble turning this on. I'm at the Maple Ridge bus loop. I've got 10 minutes before the bus takes me for the short walk home from the top of the hill near my place. This will be one of the last times I sit here contemplating not needing transit anymore, and I won't be getting out of the house as much, frankly, although I'll be getting more easy walking done where I'm going. Anyways, I was listening to more news concerning our situation here in British Columbia, and comments by in regard to the Wang arrest, and also letters to the editor, but also saying, oh well, there's lots of people who support pipelines too. Yeah, but those people don't care about anybody else. They don't care about the law or the Constitution or Native rights. So anyways, I'd already commented on Mr. Horgan and Mr. Trudeau. So Mr. Wilkinson, the wannabe premier here of the Liberal Party, he's talking about the rule of law. Oh, these guys are comedians. What law? There is no law. The law is Wet'suwet'en, in the territory that this is going down in. And until the Liberal establishment cottons into the reality of Native sovereignty, that will never be resolved in BC, and we are bound to conflict. So Karen Wang, who's I don't know what Wang probably, W-A-N-G, who's the Liberal candidate in Burnaby Edmonds, I guess it is. That's the by-election. And she's going on about the Wang arrest and the rule of law. I'm sorry, there is no law, that says that she should have been arrested. So the Liberals talk through their hats, and they make up stuff on the seat of their pants, and they're into fake history and fake facts. And they lied and they cheated, and all through their time in office, and they want to lie and cheat again. And they're lying and cheating right now. And Jagmeet Singh, who's the NDP leader, making a noble but doomed stab at winning Burnaby Edmonds. We'll see about that. But parachuting a party leader into British Columbia is never really a good idea unless you really mean it. And that'll probably be a Liberal seat. I know. The Greens are standing down, partly because the party leader's running in the riding, which is normal. But the other ridings aren't doing that. Normally when a party leader runs, it's customary to stand aside, but that's not been done in recent generations, except by the Greens, who are not being aggressive enough. I'll say that I don't think the Green Party I helped found is being able to be, because of the position they're in the House and being part of the party system now. That they have the Societies Act governs what they can say, who they can do, and the little agreement they have ties their hands. And the FPTP system means that John Horgan was able to push through projects in violation of Native Treaty Site C and Native Treaty issues. Both Site C and especially the Wet'suwet'en LNG project and the TMX are in direct violation of the constitutional guarantees of Aboriginal title, and also the very factual and legal title, the law that Mr. Wilkinson and Ms. Wang claim that they believe in, that the rule of law prevails in Canada. Well, no, it hasn't for the First Nations, and it hasn't for the poor. I have trouble right now. I've got to get, it'll be 4 months before I can get it. Public health care is good. Great that I don't have to pay for things, over the long term, but it's for someone who needs, a scooter right now. It's me. It can be 4 months to get it. For me to have got priority for housing, I would have had to get a medical health diagnosis and be medicated before I would get priority for housing, unless I wanted to live in an SRO or in the tiny little rooms in the modular, which is a waiting list for anyway here. And I get a farm in the canyon, I'm happy. So, it's going to be tough. But, to be a Canadian and see the persistent ignorance here and the persistent classism, like even now when I was at Blends, and I very much appreciated the gentleman who heard I only had 85 cents. I just wanted water for my Neo Citron. And he bought me a mocha, and he didn't want to talk to me. He came up, he paid, and I got his name. Thank you, Mario. And he just wanted to read his paper and not have a conversation. Is it because of the way I looked at I'm poor, or he just wants to be in the cocoon? Well, I'm in my own cocoon now, and I've discovered this wonderful looking glass called, I'm not live vlogging right now, but I'm going to upload this. It's the live vlogging. I can't write where I am. But the history of British Columbia has come to a climax. That the native land claims thing is now at critical level. And the intimations that the Prime Minister is ready to use armed force to build pipelines on unsurrendered territories is, as I predicted during the referendum campaign, when natives would not vote. And why would they not vote? Because people go, well, you know, why aren't natives abiding by the law? Well, the law is not Wet'suwet'en law. It needs to be, and I heard, you know, one chief going on that it needs to be the integration of native laws and sovereignties within the Canadian Constitution, like common law is, that incorporated, you know, British and Irish and English and Welsh common law, you know, that made it the law of the land. And that needs to be done if Canada is truly going to be the country it's supposed to be. And the only way to bring the natives into the Constitution is to come up with a constitutional system different from the one that they have abstained from and which has abused them and hurt them, personally hurt them, and destroyed their lands. And you hear about the rule of law. Well, who is the law? Who is the Crown? Where is the Crown? Who has the right to say that the Crown has a mandate in British Columbia? What, armed force? Canada was built by armed force. I can start the long list, you know, of Peggy Witt, of Yellowknife Mine Strike, you know, a hard-ass woman. Of course, we had Grace McCarthy here. And there's been others, you know. It's not just men, but the conservative and business element in Canada have a long history of denying and trying to override and denounce native rights and defame natives, and also to attack them with armed force time and again in British Columbia history. This is only the latest round of violence against First Nations people by the courts and by armed force and by the authority that does not have a right to be in British Columbia. Gustafson Lake, the Seton Portage incident, Green Mountain blockade, various things that went on in 1983, and before that the shooting war in the Fraser Canyon. Violence by the state against natives has gone on for all of my lifetime, and it all has to do with the issue of sovereignty and whose laws prevail and whose fish they are and whose land it is and whose ore it is. So where are the millions in gold, and where are the millions in trees and pulp and paper, and where are the millions in coal, and where are they? Why didn't British Columbia own that the same way that Alberta didn't own its petrostate? It's now a petrostate, but it's subservient to all the foreign markets. It never developed its own use of its economy, same as British Columbia never used its power to develop anything more than more resource extraction and more real estate. Real estate as an export product, which is why the Lower Mainland has become unlivable for people, and there's an exodus of which I am part of people born here that can't take the place anymore. And like I say in my previous video, I'm in future shock. All of us are. And I'm moving back to the mountains where it's nice. But I know that this country is a fiction. Our constitutional history is a fiction. Our history, people don't know it, and they're not kept from knowing it. And that ignorance helps people to hate natives. It helps them to hate the poor. It helps them to hate the left. It helps them to hate the media. It helps them to hate politics. And all they want to do is worry about where the next paycheck is coming from and how to pay the mortgage that they shouldn't have to owe that much. You know, but can they stand up to it? No. And my bus is here. I'm going to get on it. Have a good evening. The Professor Mike Clevin, Skookum One Big Skookum, signing off. Chairman Assman. Good night.